All right, Grayson Doritas from 6round.com here with Matt Labtu. We're going to kick it.
Hello.
And get into Strikeforce, Diaz versus Daley.
We're going to kick it in the front seat.
Kicking it in the back seat.
All right.
Baby, because it was Friday yesterday. But it's Saturday today. And that means MMA. We're also going to be talking Bellator 40, going over that fight card, giving you our picks and predictions, and seeing which kind of sillies are going to produce some ridiculous results tonight. We'll be watching the fights. Hope you are too. So let's start talking about Bellator first, and what we're looking forward to, and who we think might win tonight. So let's see. How's the preliminary card? I mean, the preliminary card for Bellator's got some guys that we probably haven't really heard of.
I have no idea who they are.
I mean, like,
I don't even know where Bellator finds their talent. I guess in regional circuits, but
pretty much, yeah. They're not really picking up a lot of former UFC guys or anything.
Now, have you watched a Bellator event live?
I watched the last Bellator.
Do they fill the airtime with preliminary events?
They show, like, when I watched it, they showed they started off with the main card fight, and I think put in one undercard fight.
There you go. Yeah. Well, we'll be watching both tonight. So thank God for MTV2.
MTV2,
which is huge for them to pick up Bellator.
Yeah, because when they were last season, they were with FSN, and the season before that, and I can never find it.
Fios around here doesn't have it. It's just nothing. It was like on a Spanish-speaking soccer channel. So it's pretty.
Yeah, it was pretty terrible because every time I wanted to tune in and watch, I couldn't. Because I have Cox. So the preliminary card, I mean, perhaps something like Nate James or Tyler Stinson might make it to some airtime, but really, I mean, there's only 3 fights on the main card, so I don't know what their time slot looks like tonight. I think it's an hour, which they have, which would make sense for 3 fights. But I mean, even the lightweight tournament semifinal between Michael Chandler and Lyle Woodward. I mean, have you heard of those guys before?
They haven't, but I know whoever wins is going to get destroyed by Pitbull. That guy's unstoppable. What he did to Razor Rob really opened my eyes.
He was getting pwned the first two.
I had never even heard of the Pitbull twins, and they're both my heroes now. So
and then Patricky won also.
Yes,
it was big. Last event.
It was
Who did he knock out? It was. This is gonna kill me now.
I have no idea.
He threw. Toby Amata. He threw a flying knee. Yeah.
Oh, that was brutal.
Yeah.
And Amata was out on his feet, clearly knocked out on his feet, and ate quite a beating afterwards. But that was an amazing flying knee.
Yeah. He was out on his feet.
Hands at his waist, and he just ran up and threw a knee. It was pretty incredible.
He ate the hook and then fell down and took 2 shots, and then the fight was called off.
It was good.
I mean, so that's the kind of guys that Bellator is producing, and I think that's what's good about what this promotion is bringing is that some of the guys that you might not see quite in the UFC yet, or some lighter weight guys that perhaps didn't get enough traction yet a little bit earlier on in their career, and then we're getting to see them progress as fighters.
Well, I think what we're lucky to see, and I know you're not a fan, but Ben Askren getting out there on national television is huge. I think he's going to just be a star.
Yeah, I think with Ben, it's like he has so much natural wrestling talent, and I mean, he's shown that he can out-wrestle a lot of these guys that he's fought in Bellator and elsewhere too, but when he says during the week and does an interview and says that fight night bonuses are for losers, like, I don't know. I mean, where is he at where he can go off and say something like that?
Where he'll change his tune when they start offering bonuses for lay and pray of the night.
Yeah, lay and pray of the night.
Ground and pound of the night. When they start throwing out an extra $30,000 for guys that lay there for 15 minutes looking at him. But I mean, I'm a fan of his style. He's, I watched him rolling with Jake Shields. The guy's an incredible talent, and once he can string it together, he's gonna. I mean, obviously, a lot of casual fans do know who he is. So I'm really excited to see him tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see him if he progresses, because some of these guys, like we've seen, for instance, like
Nick Thompson's a good test.
He's a great test. Yeah. I mean, he's definitely on the latter half of his career.
I hope he gets bodied, personally. I hope he gets mauled. I don't like him. Back when Nick Diaz was floating around and doing a bunch of catchweight fights before he was a real dyed-in-the-wool welterweight, people were ranking Nick the Goat Thompson ahead of him, and I was just getting livid, so I want to see him get destroyed.
Yeah, that actually makes me really angry.
And it's it's another good name on Askren's
They're doing the right thing. I mean, they're not trying to rush him into to be the face of that promotion too early or something.
They should, but
and he's progressing. I mean,
they have Eddie Alvarez, who
you
have Eddie Alvarez, you're fine.
silly
top
talents.
3. So,
yeah. Although Pat Curran gave him a hell of a test.
He did. I think everyone was surprised by Curran's.
Well, then he came out and surprised everybody against Huerta.
For 5 freaking rounds. Yeah, Huerta was a big disappointment in the tournament last year.
Yeah.
But everyone got to see the fight they wanted, which was Eddie Alvarez and Roger Huerta. They made him fight a non-title bout, and Huerta showed us where he was in his MMA career, and I think it's pretty apparent he doesn't take it seriously anymore. So
yeah, I don't know. And if he was taking it seriously and he trained really hard, it's kind of even more disappointing because he has so much natural talent. And then when he got in when he's coming up on the end of his contract in UFC, he was disappointed to see him
wanted to be a movie star.
Yeah, But which brings up an interesting point because if Askren stays the champ in Bellator, they have a champions clause. So
and he'll never get out.
They're going to have to bring in new guys for him. But what new guys can they bring in to go after him that have superior wrestling games or superior ground games that aren't in the UFC right now?
The only thing I can think of is they catch a couple cast-offs from Dream when FEG goes under. Maybe they bring in Mox Sakurai and he lands a big right hand or something.
Yeah.
Honestly, the Strikeforce welterweight division is thin enough as it is that they're going to be scrambling to pick up any fighters that are big names. And now that they're owned by Zuffa, they'll be able to pay a lot more than Bellator will be able to pay. So
I think because what Bellator was offering was this chance at big money. I mean, national TV time, and then whereas you might have gone on the Strikeforce undercard and made $1,500, literally,
exactly. If that.
And or even $5,000, but and then if you lost on the undercard of Strikeforce, you really shuffled to the bottom of the pack. You might get stuck on a challengers card where you're not going to get as many eyeballs.
They don't. Well, now that ever since the Zuffa took over Strikeforce, I noticed they have been pushing the challengers cards a lot harder.
Yeah, and the ratings did. The past one did a much.
And it's noticeable the professionalism they're bringing into the organization already.
For sure.
So it's going to be exciting to see if they can get challengers pumped up. I mean, I'd much rather watch challengers than another season of Tough. I'm tired of watching the meatheads get drunk every Wednesday and then a really shitty fight. They are terrible. They gassing around. They roll around.
Did you see the fight on?
I didn't watch this week's.
What was it? Wednesday at night.
I didn't watch Wednesdays. I watched last week's. It was terrible. So.
It was an okay fight for guys that leapt. Well, actually, no, it was pretty terrible. Yeah. But I mean, it was basically wall stalling.
Yeah.
Because I mean, one or the other were clinching up against the cage, and that was where the fight stayed for 3 rounds. I mean, there were some strikes thrown, and they would occasionally break free, but that's where the fight mainly took place. And then, how do you really score that? Because none of these guys are really experienced enough. Well, at least not many of these guys are not experienced enough to make a potentially fight-changing move or to dictate the pace of the fight. They're generally still figuring out what they're strong at, what they're not strong at, where their weaknesses are, and so they're a little bit unsure about themselves, and then that plays out in the fight.
Exactly.
And then when you only have 2 rounds...
I just think the talent pool has dried up. I think Challengers offers a much better product. They throw veterans on the Challengers cards, guys. Matt Lindland was on one 2 fights ago. He was headlining the Challengers card. Challengers cards are going to be great, and I think under Zuffa they're going to get pushed a lot harder, and we'll see some real stars.
Yeah, you bring up a good point because now that they're under the Zuffa banner, you're going to be able to push that more.
You have the UFC marketing machine pushing the cards, which is
definitely
huge, and it's on Showtime.
Yeah,
Showtime's in 40 million homes across America.
How surreal was it when you saw the Strikeforce commercial of the last pay-per-view?
I know, right?
Like Nick Diaz, during a promotion.
What's surreal is seeing the UFC pushing Nick Diaz is just. I love it.
Yeah, I love it too.
It's the first time I saw them tweet about it, Nick Diaz, I was in love.
Yeah,
it was the best thing. It was Christmas.
Well, now he's saying he doesn't care about the Strikeforce belt.
Yeah, I saw
it's all about getting to the UFC.
Got a point. I mean, and even before the merger, I don't think that belt held a ton of weight. That's one of the reasons I'm so excited for tonight. Is he's fighting a talented guy. He's fighting someone he's obviously more talented than, but Paul Daley's a legit threat. Obviously, he lost his last couple fights to top 10 guys. I mean, he got bodied by Koscheck, and then the last real top guy he fought before was Jake Shields in Elite XC, and Shields ripped his arm off.
Right.
But I mean, he's fighting enough. He's active enough. He trains with a good gym.
He's coming off a win.
He's coming off a big win.
Yeah, he beat
big knockout.
I think it was like 10-2 or 10-1
huge
or
knockout.
Yeah, big knockout. And then I guess his fight before that was where was he fighting?
It was that Australian promotion they were throwing a bunch of people onto.
I think he won down there.